We'll see how it turns out. Let's call in our guest and talk about the environment. And the issue is basically this. Welcome to the program, Christy. As you look at the performance of the Democrats so far in office, what kind of grades would you give them on the environmental agenda? Let's start with polluter pay and work backwards.
Sure. I would give them a fantastic grade for their past co-sponsorship. For years, they've campaigned on amazing platforms. Tyrone Carter and Speaker Joe Tate are co-sponsors of a fantastic 8-bill package that was introduced and discussed multiple times during 2021. They have a great record of talking about how they are going to do wonderful things once they get the majority. The Senate already has fantastic bills in the works. We're excited to be working with them. And Governor Whitmer's the real champion. You know, she's done unprecedented things on the environment, and she's shown us all how we can stare down the dark money from the largest fossil fuel company in the world and win. So, you know, I think we're going to get there. We had some problems this week, but we're going to get past them, and we're looking forward to providing the support that we know our champs need to get it done.
Would you rather have them be debating polluter pay rather than the aggregate debate that's going on, and the fact that they are dealing with that first and you second? Doesn't that give you some concern?
Yeah, it does. You know, I think it's a conflict within the caucus right now, and the conflict is between the voters and the voters that got them there, and the corporate interests that spread money all around Lansing. And it's our job to push and help them prioritize their own campaign platforms, and we're going to do that.
Simon?
What do you see necessarily as where you stand in this lineup? Do you think that the Democratic caucus has maintained its commitment to fight this issue?
I think they haven't properly taken up any of our issues yet. I think that what we saw over the past 2 weeks was the wrong prioritization, and it's our job to act as a watchdog group. You know, I'm not a Lansing insider. I work for the 150,000 members that we have here in Michigan, and taking up a bad set of bills that would increase air and water pollution before touching any of our other issues substantively, that was the wrong move. So we had to push back quickly. We did. And I know that in coming weeks, we are going to see more discussion on the issues that voters really care about.
And, you know, as lawmakers start to get into some of the issues that your group has prioritized, are you concerned at all by the slim majorities in both houses? Do you see any issues with getting Democrats all aligned on some of these things when there may not be a solid Republican support?
You know, our issues are actually wildly bipartisan. I have some information to share on Off the Record, which I'm excited to. There's going to be a poll that will be public later this week. It's the Lake Effect poll that Progress Michigan has been releasing once a month for the past 2 years. And they asked a question on polluter pay this time around. And their question was, do you support or oppose to voters in Michigan holding polluting corporations accountable for the cost of cleaning up their pollution instead of putting it on to taxpayers? And, you know, the numbers were off the charts. They actually gave me pause. It was 93%. This poll was done May 8th through 9th, 901 voters in Michigan. It's been a regular poll that Progress Michigan does. I think that there should be no fear among legislators for how voters are going to respond to taking on these issues. I think the issue is going to be the corporate interests in Lansing that have been spreading money around both parties for a really long time. But legislators are going to be overwhelmed with support in district when voters hear about the work that they're doing to protect public health. And the rest of the issues pull really high too. Great Lakes protections, it's consistently 70%, 80%. We work on popular issues. It's one of those things that is truly bipartisan.
Do I understand you're in a Detroit office right now talking with us?
Yes.
Okay. I'm on the east side of Metro Detroit. I'm in Macomb County. Mm-hmm. And a big issue over there is Lake St. Clair and the continuing pollution of Lake St. Clair with the combined sewer overflows. I talk with Candace Miller often as the Macomb County Public Works Director. That is a systemic problem that has been going on for decades, and it's going to require a lot of money to get rid of those combined sewers. For people who don't know, that means your sanitary sewer, when you flush your toilet, is combined with the storm sewer, the sewers on the street, and they're somewhat treated, but then that water goes into Lake St. Clair. And those of us who boat out there and swim out there in the summer are in all of that, you know what. And I can show you some nasty pictures. Is there a long-term fix for that, and doesn't that require a lot of money?
Yes, and yes. So I used to live in Mount Clemens. Right now, I live right on the border of Harbor Woods and Grosse Pointe Woods. I'm in Detroit.
Oh, well, yeah.
I know it well. I Blossom Heath Beach. I'm aware of the issues. I've tracked the sewage overflow data for decades, and yeah, it is a huge problem. The solution is that we have to continuously invest in our drinking and wastewater infrastructure and prioritize it. And we are on the right path. Candace Miller's doing a good job. She needs more resources. Our drinking and wastewater systems were built out with massive federal investment starting in the 1950s and 1960s. Michigan did not build out the amazing infrastructure that we have strictly on the backs of ratepayers. So we've built this massive system that had huge amounts of federal investment, and we haven't kept pace with the amount of investment that we need in order to keep it going. So it is going to require a long-term prioritization. We've seen the start of it with the way that ARPA, EJA, and IRA dollars are going to be spent on fixing our infrastructure. But you're absolutely right. It is a long-term investment issue, and it is one that voters will prioritize. So voters have approved bonds, statewide bonds, to keep improving these. When we take this to voters and we ask voters, do we want to be able to swim in Lake St. Clair? Do we want to be able to go to the beach and not worry about sewage overflows? Do we want to make sure that we all collectively pitch in to do this so that we can enjoy our Great Lakes without worrying about it? People say yes. So I think the issue is making sure that we keep falling back on those Michiganders that we know we can trust and asking them to help collectively pitch in to pay for what we know we need to do.
Give us hope. Is there a year when we can say this will be fixed by 2030?
I think it was Governor Snyder's infrastructure report said that it's going to take about $1 billion a year for at least 20 years in order to address all of our infrastructure problems. So we have some more work to do, but I think that we can get there, and we have a great start with the recent prioritization from the state legislature and the governor in addressing wastewater infrastructure.
All right, let's talk about practical politics. You mentioned earlier you cannot outspend the corporate interest in giving money to candidates. Fair statement?
Absolutely fair statement.
All right, so the only leverage that you have is to go to lawmaker, my word, not yours, and threaten them. If you don't give us a vote, our voters, 93%, are going to come after you. Are you ready to play that kind of hardball with lawmakers?
I am so flattered and charmed that you're giving me that much credit. I think that that hardball is going to be played whether or not I'm leading it, because voters in Michigan are smart, and Gretchen Whitmer knew this when she took on the largest fossil fuel transport company in the world and ordered the shutdown of Line 5. That fight is going to happen regardless of whether or not Sierra Club is leading it. Voters want Great Lakes protections. They turned out to the polls because they know we're in a climate crisis. Voters want to know that when there's a storm, their power is not going to go out. Voters don't want to foot the bill for corporations that saddle us with contaminated drinking water and dirty soil. So this is going to be a fight that is going to happen no matter what. Our job is to provide the massive amounts of public support up front so that we don't go too far down a path of listening to corporate donors in Lansing, and we deliver to voters.
I've heard you speak a lot about, overcoming special interest influence in this interview. And when we look to some of the most influential players in Lansing, say the electric utilities, for example, we just endured a days-long shutdown during these ice storms. From the action you've seen in the legislature, do you believe that the legislature is interested in overriding some of this influence and actually moving on an agenda that's pro-environment?
I absolutely think that they want to. We've heard amazing public statements from almost everyone in office right now on how invested they are in holding utilities accountable. But that's going to be a really hard fight because it is difficult to take on corporate giving in Lansing. But look, the folks in the state legislature, they did not create this broken problem. This has been 42 years coming. So they have the opportunity right now to do the right thing, but it's naive to think that it's easy. It's not easy. It is going to take all of them working together, and it is going to take a big campaign to make sure that voters know about the hard work that they're doing. I know that they can do it. Again, we've seen amazing leadership from Governor Whitmer on taking on dark money and still winning. She showed the entire country, that was a clarion call to Democrats across the country, that we can do truly amazing things in taking on the oil and gas industry and still win. So we're going to have to do that again with DTE, but we have a great executive at the helm who showed everyone that it's possible.
What did you make of the Senate Democrats' energy package recently released? Is it enough from your perspective to get Michigan on a path towards cleaner energy?
The Senate Democrats are doing great work. Look, we're advocates. We're always going to be pushing. There's going to be negotiations, and so we're going to want to go farther, faster, and then that's the way that we get the best out of the package that the governor eventually signs. It is a great first step. We're really looking forward to seeing that movement in the House. And, Governor Whitmer was on a national podcast just recently saying that climate is up next. And I believe her. So I'm really excited to dig in and support what the Senate Democrats are doing and get that kind of momentum in the House.
By the same token, however, it is crickets from the executive office on this aggregate bill. She has said absolutely nothing about it, and you must be concerned. Why isn't she leading the charge?
Because she doesn't need to.
Right? She's the governor of the state.
This bill has been defeated multiple times with bipartisan opposition under Republican trifectas. This isn't even worthy of her attention. This is already going down in flames. It is a terrible bill. It will raise pollution rates, water, air, local government is against it. It's not going anywhere. It's not deserving of her attention.
Well, then all she has to say is, if you send it to my desk, I'll veto it. The debate's over.
I'm really excited that she's spending her time making public statements about how she wants to see movement on clean energy. That's what she should be doing.
We got a quick time. One word?
No, I think she's got it.
How many political donations does the Sierra Club make? Do you dole out money?
Yeah, we do give to our candidates. Our political spending is pretty modest. The real time and effort that we put our energy into is our political internship program. We work with young people and recruit them. We give them the support they need to get the training to work on a campaign, and then we embed them in campaigns with pro-environment lawmakers to ensure that issue.
So if I heard you correctly, you're declaring that this aggregate bill is dead.
It is dead. It is not going anywhere.
What if we hang on to this tape and it's not true?
Then I'm really looking forward to coming back on the show and hashing that out.
Thank you very much. Good seeing you. Have a nice weekend. Our thanks to our panel. Nice to have you guys on board. More Off the Record right here next week.